Hello and welcome. I'm Renuka Methil, the managing editor of Forbes Africa, based in Johannesburg. Today, we go across on Zoom to the United Arab Emirates, where we are in conversation with Sheikha Hend Faisal Al Qassimi, a princess who's an artist, architect, author, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. She currently serves as the CEO of Paris, London, New York Events and Publishing that includes a magazine and a fashion house. So nice to see you, Hind. You are in Dubai. I know the lockdown situation is improving. The number of COVID-19 cases have come down in the recent past. But tell us a little bit about how you spend time. You sort of manage, wear so many different hats. I'm sure you must have used your creativity to good use at this time.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, and it's an honor to be covered by Forbes Africa and to actually Zoom meet you. Thank you for your concern and thank you for your warm wishes. And I hope that soon this COVID situation is going to end worldwide, not just in the Emirates. And things do look promising here in the Emirates, thankfully.
Okay, that's great. So you run a leading lifestyle publication in the Gulf called Velvet Magazine. It was founded in 2010 and it showcases the diversity of the region. And this region, as we know, Dubai is a melting pot of Dubai. It's home to so many different nationalities from around the world. But personally, how are you finding the challenges right now in this COVID environment in the media and publishing industry? What do you think is a way forward? I know a lot of magazines are going online and we're all in the digital space, but what really is the future of this industry at a time when most magazines and newspapers are shutting down around the world?
It's sad to see a lot of well-respected magazines and publications go under, but it's the reality. And I remember there was this episode of a course we took called Change Management back in the day. And they would say that failure to accept change will basically cause you to go down faster and lose more. So you should basically learn to be part of the disruption happening within the economy. Right now, as a publisher myself, and I've been in the publishing industry for more than 10 years, it breaks my heart to say that publishing has been hurt. But now we have a different way of handling it, a different way of viewing it. So instead of things being on paper, because with COVID, people are too scared to buy anything that's touchable. Yeah. People don't want to touch something that could possibly be part of anything that could basically make them contract the disease. People are scared and they can't help it. It's a reality. So now even my magazine has gone online. Okay. And I think that maybe when things settle, when we're done with the COVID situation, which they estimate can take up to 2 years, I think that we will continue to be online, but nothing beats the value of a touched material, because people don't like to admit this, but sales were better when they were marketed online, when they were marketed on a print. People would give it more value. Yeah. When you see something online, the memory is shorter. So you have to make the experience richer. So you actually have to work as a publisher, as an editor, you need to work harder to make it more interesting. When things were marketed on print, the return on the investment was higher. But now things are moving more digital. And I think that with digital, there are so many windows of opportunity, but at the same time, you don't know exactly where your customers are. Yeah. And even then, the effect isn't as strong. So the correct decision to correct the situation is to simply invest more in intelligent contact, something to grasp the reader. Yes. So you have to have quality content. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can shock them by talking about the three taboos, which is sex, religion, and politics, or you can attract them by showing skin or a celebrity face, and then having something loud to attract their attention. But that won't get you the paying customer.
Absolutely.
It will get you the high numbers of views, which you would see, which you would use to show people, but that isn't the quality. That isn't the customer that you seek. So the correct answer would be to have quality content, and it needs to have something that attracts you from the beginning, something quick.
That's true.
So it's an equation, it's an algorithm.
It's an algorithm, but very well said. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of that interesting online content from at your end. But you've also been an entrepreneur right from the beginning. You're the founder of the House of Hend. It's a luxury ready-to-wear line designing abayas. And traditionally, I mean, the Middle East is not known for fashion. It's known for retail, but it's not known as a fashion hub. But how are you, in your own personal capacity, how have you over the years tried to change that narrative?
Well, actually, a lot of young women where I come from have become, we call ourselves a nation of cupcake and abayas, because every girl wants to start her cupcake business and her abaya business. So I have a few businesses, a restaurant and a flower cafe and a fashion business. So although I designed some abayas, I also had ready-to-wear items. Okay. So I began to approach the world of fashion by creating what the customer wants. Before, it was just the creations I would like to create. So I would create the most exquisite pieces, but most times they would be too expensive. But right. That was a work of art. But then you need to realize this is the business. With business, there's a profit and loss sheet. Yeah. So I need to create math in order to sell, in order to make a profit. So I began bringing down the detail in each piece. So instead of creating like a wedding gown that looks very different and that would be very expensive and getting the most expensive fabrics, it doesn't sell very fast. And at the end of the day, you need to sell items. For example, you would know this, that Zara makes more net profit than Chanel does. Yeah. And Chanel makes most of their money from their lower priced items like perfume and lipstick, and then the leather goods like bags and shoes. And then the last thing they make their profit of is actually their fashion business. Mm-hmm. So, which is where I began to, I was doing my master's in the Sorbonne, and I enjoyed that course extensively because it was a mixture of management and marketing and communication and media. And it shows you that this was the true entrepreneurship program, where you would basically learn everything you need to know in order to enter the life of an entrepreneur. Right. And it would basically, there was no humor when it comes to finance. So you end up with a very dry humor after you're done with the course, because then you realize that in order for your dreams to come true, you need to understand them better. You need to have, for example, when you have a dreamer, usually the fashion designer is usually a dreamer, or a painter is a dreamer. So he needs to marry an accountant or somebody that basically his feet are solid on the ground. Even a publisher is a dreamer because he wants to tell the world his story. He wants to share, to reveal true scoops about people suffering or people that have strived and struggled and have succeeded. Right. So you need to marry it with an accountant that says, okay, when you write about these stories, you sell more. So you understand the market more. The thing is, we have a miscommunication between both. There needs to be a balance in everything. Mm. It's how they teach you in school. You don't just go to school to learn about math. No, you go and you learn a little about English, a little bit about history, a little about religion, a little about languages, a little about sports. Even sports, people would view sports as something not important, but they don't understand that using sports, you can live a healthier lifestyle. You produce better when your body feels stronger. You actually think deeper when you have yoga and sports in your life. And feel free to interrupt me. I talk too much.
No, these are all very valid points. And you raised the question of teaching children, giving them more of a holistic, wholesome education. And I'm always one for advocating entrepreneurship education and instilling that in young children. But how is the scene like in the Middle East in terms of entrepreneurship education, at least? Are things changing now?
Things have changed. I've noticed lately the schools, even in the Emirates. I mean, I come from Sharjah, which is considered like the educational hub of the Emirates. So you go to Sharjah to study, to get an education, to have a solid and healthy family lifestyle. But then you would go to Dubai to start as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Dubai has an excellent entrepreneur hub. It's if you have a good idea and you come to Dubai, Dubai is like the Emirates in general. Is like it's like what America was back in the day, the land of opportunity, but without taxes, which is amazing. But now we have a 5% value added tax, but nothing else. We have so many entrepreneurs from around the world, from the Emirates mostly, and then you have the Indians, you have the Saudis, you have the Persians. We have people from around the world. We have even Europeans and Americans that have come here, and they came with a dream. I mean, a lot of them came here as employees, but then they started their own dream. And yesterday I saw a movie called Mangal Mission, and I was retweeting a friend on Mr. Shukrallah, and he works in WAM News. So he was talking about Mission Mangal. So I was like, I'm going to watch it tonight. So I did, and it was about these Indians who. They basically, in 2014, they were able to go to Mars. I mean, they didn't go physically, but they sent a spaceship, and they had a problem because they didn't have enough budget. So it was taken down from 6,000 crore to 400 million. So it shows that a dream is something that a dream doesn't let you go to sleep because you really want it to happen. And I was so proud because as a feminist myself, a majority of the team were women. I mean, there were obviously men because I'm not a feminist that purely supports women. I think that we live in a shared world that women and men, I mean, we are half the community. We are half the family. And together, hand in hand, we can make this country, this world a better place. But we just have to have a higher level of understanding, always. So it was a yesterday. I mean, I had goosebumps. I'm not Indian, but I was excited.
The Mission Mangal is one of Bollywood's most famous films that came out recently. And, as you saw, the housewife making rotis and sending a rocket to space in the afternoon. At this time, we really all need empathy and compassion and creative expression. You're an artist. I mean, how do you think we should sort of channel this creative expression at this time, and and be more humanitarian in our approach towards everything, be it business, be it art, be it everything?
I think people should invest more in uplifting themselves, because you first begin healing when you heal yourself, and then you heal those around you. I mean, let us not be quick to pass judgment to others, because we have no right. I mean, we didn't create these people to look like they did or think like they did. We don't know the stories that they went through to make them so positive or negative, or so extreme in their policies or their ideas. We can simply learn to. I mean, what is religion? Religion is simply a civil code of how you should live your life better.
Yeah.
But today I don't see people following that. I see people thinking that I'm just better than you, so I have a right to kill you. How does that make you a better person? Don't you? If you call yourself, if you think that you're a better person because of your religion or your origin or religion, that doesn't give you a right to kill me. That shows that you are wrong. And unfortunately, we've seen this for the last 500 years. This has been happening. But I truly believe in peace. I truly believe that if you think you're a better person, prove it. I mean, your origin or religion doesn't make you a better person. You do.
I'm just going to go back to the African continent now. You've been a fashion entrepreneur, among other things. How do you view African fashion? Is there any attempt or effort in the United Arab Emirates or in the Middle East at large in promoting African fashion and the talent that we have on the continent at the moment?
Well, I did a fashion show in Egypt, and Egypt counts as Africa. And when I was in Spain, there was several African designers in the fashion show in Spain, which was fabulous. And the Emirates, the country of the Emirates is heavily invested in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Because we truly believe that Ethiopia has a good future. Ethiopia and Kenya are stellar states in Africa when it comes to anti-corruption laws, and they're promising GDP. And I am actually looking at Africa for manufacturing, to manufacture my clothes.
Okay.
And hopefully as well distribute my fashion as well, and my magazine.
I see.
And my book as well.
Okay, when do you see all of that happening, Hend?
When do I see that happening? I think as soon as the lockdown eases. I was in talks with a factory in Ethiopia, and I wanted to come to Kenya. They had this beautiful hotel which you would have breakfast with the giraffe, and you basically, the giraffes are used to coming, I don't know the name of the hotel, but the giraffe sticks his neck inside the window, and apparently they have a very large head, and it's just interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing it and visiting Kenya.
That's great. And African art, any particular artists that you follow?
I know a lot, but most of the African artists I know are usually from North Africa. From Algeria, from Morocco. I was a big fan. A lot of Egyptian artists. Most of the artists I know are mostly Arab Africans. And I hear a lot of good things about Nigeria and South Africa.
Yes. Have you been to these places at all, Hend? Have you?
No, I've been to Morocco.
I see.
I've been to Morocco. I've been to Egypt. I have been. These are the two states I've been in.
Okay.
And I've been to the Seychelles, which counts as Africa, and it was a beautiful place. I'm also planning on visiting Madagascar.
I see.
Because I hear it's a really happy place to go.
Yeah.
And Sumatra.
Okay.
So hopefully.
So let's hope that you'll make more trips into the African continent after the lockdown is over. You also mentioned a flower and gift boutique. I mean, is it already open in downtown Dubai?
It opens in September, hopefully. It's called Heart in a Box.
Okay, so because obviously even big events, the mega event like Expo 2020, which was supposed to be held this year in Dubai, has been postponed. So you are going to open your cafe in September. Do you anticipate that happening?
Yeah, because our numbers thankfully are dropping. I mean, yesterday we had, I think, 300 cases, which is pretty good. And our numbers are going down. Okay. And we're very happy. And hopefully we can go back to old life, because I was reading something just before I came to you at some private restaurant owners in North America and America. They were looking at 80% of them shutting down because they can't afford it. So I think the sooner they isolate and stay indoors, things are going to get better. But I understand with the George Floyd situation happening in America, protesters and rioters, they want their voice to be heard. But unfortunately, nobody's wearing a face mask, and they don't know, but they're actually hurting their economy more.
Yeah.
So I hope this passes soon. Yeah. Because it hurts me to see a country so beautiful like America suffering so much.
So how about mentorship? I mean, earlier you mentioned that you are a feminist. In terms of mentoring young women to become entrepreneurs or to become thought leaders like you, I mean, what are your efforts in that respect?
I don't commend myself as a pure feminist or a pure idol. I would like to show I'm observant of my culture, of my religion, of being a woman. I'm a realist. I mean, I think optimists and pessimists are people that you should stay away from, because they're both they don't give you the real image of real life. And I think I mean, as a child, you would either be raised by a pessimistic mother or an optimistic mother. But I think it's more important to be a role model of realism. So you are a woman, you want to become a career person, good for you. But you need to understand that when you have children, you are the mother. You are the most important person in that child's life. So it takes a lot of responsibility. And the same with education. I mean, I was doing my bachelor's and my master's at the same time. And when I finished my bachelor's, I was working in the day, and I was working in the HSBC bank in the administrative department, and I was doing my master's at night. And I would also plan my time accordingly, because I think it's very important to plan. Because when you plan everything, you can make everything fit. It's all about being very precise.
Now, Africa has the youngest population on the planet. I mean, do you have any young people that you connect with here? I mean, do you see some kind of interest in them in coming to the Middle East? You mentioned Sharjah as being an education hub. Do you see any of that give and take happening?
Of course. I mean, I have a Nigerian friend from Nigeria who is looking to come here, and he's actually taking the course with me in the Harvard online course. But he works a lot with humane cases and philanthropy. I'm more in entrepreneurship and emancipation of people in order to become independent.
That's great. And I must ask you, I won't leave you without asking that question about Sharjah. I mean, you are from Sharjah, and not many people know that Sharjah is one of the Emirates, one of the 7 Emirates in the United Arab Emirates, and it is, in comparison with Dubai, it is the less glamorous sister of Dubai. But Sharjah has its own beautiful attributes. I know the Qanat Al Kasbah. I've been there. If it's still there, and it's such a beautiful, well-contained emirate of its own. Can you tell us a little more about it? Also the fact that it's an education hub. What else is there about Sharjah that tourists in the future can look forward to?
Sharjah's always been home to me, and we're home to more than 30 museums.
Yes.
And I think we're very culturally rich. And if you want to have a family, you start in Sharjah.
Yeah.
If you want to have kids in great schools, quality content, it's not just about being the biggest and the best. It's also about having a bigger heart. In Sharjah, I find people in Dubai more business oriented, but people in Sharjah they're warmer. It's like being. It's like being with your family. It's like going to your grandparents or your parents. They'll always welcome you with open arms and a warm embrace, and they'll always encourage you. But also, business has been promising in Sharjah. A lot of the most successful Indian and Emirati business people started from Sharjah. We have a perfumer. He comes from a place called Khorfakan, which is one of the suburbs of one of the towns in Sharjah. And he started with a perfume brand, and now he has 7 different businesses. He has 3 or 4 different perfume companies, and a chocolate company, and a leather company, and he's done exceptionally well. And you also have Mickey. He's an Indian, and he started with a fashion store called Splash.
Yeah.
And now he has Tonic, and he has yes, also a Cindy, and now he's moved to Dubai, I think. But he started from Sharjah.
Right.
So starting any business from Sharjah is financially easier because the financial burdens are cheaper. It's easier to start in Sharjah, and once you expand, you can move to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the other states, which is what he did. And You have Yusuf Ali. He started the Lulu supermarket.
Yusuf
He
Ali,
started he started from Abu Dhabi, which is the capital of the Emirates, and he's done exceptionally well as well. And then he expanded to Dubai and Sharjah and the rest of the Emirates and the rest of the GCC. Now he even has a branch, I think, in Malaysia. And we also have other, I mean, my father was a medical doctor before the age of oil, and then he became an ambassador. And then he slowly entered the medical world of hospitals. And he's done exceptionally well. I mean, he started like his hospital in Sharjah, and then he opened 2 in Dubai.
I see.
And so I think that people usually start big, but can you start big? What if you don't have the funding? You don't have like a 1 billion IPO or a 1 million IPO. Sometimes it's good to start small. And I know a lot of people that started small and have reached their 1 million or 1 billion profit per year. So,
so some
like
great stories, some great stories of enterprise coming out of Sharjah. It was a pleasure talking to you. I was talking to Sheikha Hend Faisal Al Qassimi, the artist, the entrepreneur, the publisher, the philanthropist, and the architect. She wears many hats, and she was talking to us from Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Thank you so much for listening to this Forbes Africa special. Please stay safe and stay home. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.